Hi guys, so hopefully join me because you're going to learn how to make a table decoration with a candle in. Today, you might have already bought my kit off Etsy or you might be thinking of buying it. So I'm just going to go through what's in the kit and how you're going to make your design. So within your kit, and the first thing you need to do is get your block of Oasis. I have cut it into a third for you, and you just drop it in some water. So you can either fill up a bucket of water or just fill up your sink. So you just drop it in and it will just slowly start to absorb the water. You will have to turn it if, like mine, your water level isn't deeper than the Oasis. Don't push it in, don't force it down, because it will create air bubbles and it won't fully absorb into the Oasis, and that might cause areas in which your foliage isn't going to get any water. So just leave it to do what it's got to do and it will slowly absorb it. You don't need any flower food in there because it is all provided in the Oasis. And for those of you who haven't used Oasis before, it's just going to provide the base of the design. It's really easy to work with and it just gives you somewhere just to pop your foliage and your accessories in, just to create that nice shape of design. And like I say, it is a water source as well, so you won't need to do anything with your design for about 3 weeks. Because we're using quite hardy foliage and just decorations, no fresh flowers, it will last quite a while. So I'll go through what else is in the kit. So you've got your square round container, and that's just going to fit your Oasis in, and then that just provides the shape that our design is going to be. We've got some foliage, so you've got about 6 pieces of spruce. There is some smaller pieces and there is also some large pieces. You've got 2 pieces of holly as well. I have just cut mine down previously. You've got 3 hand-dried oranges, I've already constructed onto a wire for you. Same with the apples. 2 pine cones on a wire as well. A bundle of cinnamon sticks also on a wire. And you've got some artificial berries that I have wired too. The bow of your choice. We've got a nice rustic heart that I've glued onto just a skewer. And I've got your candle, which I've also wired just so it will just go into that design nice and easily. So what you're going to need, so you're going to need some scissors, secateurs, maybe some wire cutters if you're wanting to cut any decorations down, and then maybe a knife, just a regular kitchen knife. Doesn't need to be sharp, it's just for the Oasis, which is quite soft anyway. So once it's kind of sunk to the bottom and absorbed that water, for mine I just need to turn it over. And I would recommend, if it starts bubbling like mine is, I don't know if you can see, just some bubbles. It's just where it's got a little air bubble in. So I just poke it with a knife. And it'll just carry on absorbing that, and you'll just see all them air bubbles coming out. So we'll just give it a minute. And you can also cut some of your own foliage if you're wanting to add some conifer or ivy, which I would recommend. There might not be enough of what I've given you to fully cover the Oasis, so you can always cut bits from your garden. Anything will do really, just the hardier it is, the more likely it is to survive for a bit longer over the festive season. Lovely. So your block will be cut a bit neater than mine. I've just done mine really roughly, and it should just slot directly into the design like so. I would recommend just chamfering the edges, and that's just when you kind of cut the corners, as it just creates a bit more area for you to put your foliage in. Mine is used before, so it's not great, but yours will be a fresh piece. I'm just going to pop it back in. You can reuse Oasis, it just does not absorb the water the same once you've already used it. There we go, so you pop it in. In the floristry world, you would also tape this into the container just because it's a little bit wobbly, but if it's just going on your table centrepiece and you're not going to move it, it'll be fine. So we just use pot tape, which is just like a really sticky sellotape, and we just kind of go diagonally across and just to hold it in, but you don't need to if it's just going on your table for the festive season. Okay, so to start with, I would recommend doing your candle first, just because that's the focal area where the eye is going to travel to first, and it's the centre of the design. So as I've already put wires on it for you, just find the middle of your Oasis and just push it down like that, and it is quite secure in there just on the wires. And then we're going to kind of build the design around that. So as it is a circular design, I would recommend kind of coming out a little bit, and probably about an inch or two. If you do want to do a quite bigger design, you can, but I wouldn't recommend going out too much, otherwise you're going to run out of space in the oasis to put your foliage. So like I say, I would recommend that you start around the outside just to get your shape. And the length of your pieces, I would say about a hand's width, length even. So as you're popping it in, you need to have about 2 or 3 centimetres of the stem clear of foliage. Also give it a quick cut on a diagonal, like so, just because it does stop absorbing water once it's been out of water. So you need to recut the stems in order for it to kind of break that seal that forms over it. So you're kind of going from a downward angle just because we want to cover this tray because it's not the nicest looking. You kind of go in from the side like that, and it's just angled down slightly. So I'd recommend doing that around the outside of your design. Finding similar length pieces or cut down bigger pieces in two. There we go. So I've just done 4. You can do another 4 if you want, or you can just kind of start building it up. Okay, and the kind of look that we're going for is like a domed effect, like that. So it's kind of going to circle this nice centre candle. So you kind of want your smaller pieces graduating to your longer pieces, going on more of an outward angle. So if you've got a piece like this in your design, you can cut it down. So if you cut it there, you've then got one piece and another piece there. And you might need your secateurs because it can be quite hard to cut. Okay. I might cut that down again actually. So clear that stem. And you want about 2 centimetres of stem to pop in your design. So as I popped it there, it's kind of graduating outward a little bit, which is what we're after. There we go. And if you've noticed anything's just a little bit out of shape, you can just give it a quick trim just to keep it in shape a bit more. And I am running out of foliage, I didn't cut myself enough. There we go. So as you can see, I've kind of got that round shape and then that slightly domed, coming a bit longer towards the outside. Okay, so now the accessories. So if you decide which part of the design you want to kind of be your front, obviously it is an all-round design, so there's no part, you know, you can just put things evenly spaced if you want, or if you've got a front-facing table, or if it's going on a windowsill. So I will start with your bow just because it's the biggest and it's kind of the focal along with the candle. So you can just use your wire cutters just to trim it slightly. So say if I wanted that as my front part, I'd pop my bow in, kind of push it into the oasis. There we go. And I would start adding your decorations once your foam's about half covered. If it's too fully covered, you're going to really struggle to get your decorations in. And if it's not enough covered, you're not going to really understand the shape of the design that you're after yet. So I've got these nice hearts. You might just want to cut them. Okay, so I might pop that just there. And just keep turning your design, making sure you're keeping it in that nice shape. And kind of evenly spaced. So I might pop a little pine cone in there, just tuck it in. Got the orange slices there. So you want to kind of keep it all within that same shape. The berries, I would just kind of push quite far into the design just because They would normally appear obviously on the foliage, so you don't want them to stick out too much, otherwise they won't look, kind of give the real effects that we're after. There we go, so that's my kind of design complete there. I'll just show you from the front. Lovely. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of foam still showing, so I would recommend, like I say, just cut some nice foliage out your garden. You can get quite short pieces and just kind of push it in just to kind of cover up that foam. And then with lighting the candle, if you are going to light it, I'd recommend that you're really careful and you do keep an eye on it, because it is more for the aesthetic look. But if you do want to light it, just be really, really careful. Make sure there's no foliage kind of in the candle's path, otherwise there could be a bit of disaster there. And in terms of maintaining and looking after your design, every week or so I just put about 200 millilitres of water, just tip it directly into that tray there, and the foam will just re-soak it back up and keep these pieces nice and hydrated. Okay, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to email me or message me on social media. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you enjoy making your own designs.